I don't think I can help you.
It's been 7 years.
Dr. Jennifer Melfi quit after 7 years of trying to heal him. 7 years of trying to find something salvageable inside of him. She finally slammed the door because the research was clear. Therapy doesn't rehabilitate sociopaths. It sharpens them. But here's the uncomfortable question the show was really asking. Not when did Melfi give up on Tony? When did you? David Chase built The Sopranos on a trick.
But lately I'm getting the feeling.
For 6 seasons, he put you on a couch, across from one of the most charming, magnetic, funny, achingly human monsters in the history of television. He let you laugh at his bits. He let you feel bad for him when he cried in the therapist's office. He let you root for him when his own mother tried to have him killed. And then, in interview after interview, Chase expressed genuine surprise that audiences didn't hate Tony Soprano. Because if you actually pay attention, Tony Soprano was never a good man turned bad. He was never a decent guy trapped by circumstance.
You alright?
He was a murderer, an extortionist, and a domestic abuser from the first frame of the pilot. So when fans ask, at what point did Tony become irredeemable? They're really asking something else. When did the mask slip far enough that you couldn't pretend anymore? Because for every viewer, there's a different answer. And that's the genius of the show. Let's start with the hardest-nosed answer.
Willie Overall, the bookie, Labor Day 1982. Come on, kid, do it.
Tony was irredeemable before the show even started. In 1982, a young Tony Soprano, barely into the life, shot a bookie named Willie Overall in the face. On orders, as his first murder, as his initiation. By the time we meet him in Dr. Melfi's office, he already has roughly 2 decades of blood on his hands that we never see. And within the first episode, we watch him laugh while running a man down with a car.
Fabian Petrulio.
In the 5th episode, College, he drives through the night to track down a federal informant, strangles him with a wire on the side of a road, and then goes back to touring colleges with Meadow like nothing happened. This is the pilot arc. This is the introduction. If you watched College, widely regarded as one of the greatest hours of television ever made, and came away uncertain about whether Tony was a villain, the show was not the problem. So one legitimate answer to the question is the problem. You were never supposed to be rooting for him. Chase was always showing you who he was. You just chose to look past it. But here's where it gets more interesting.
You tell me he's a depressed criminal, prone to anger. Consider leaving him.
Because even Dr. Krakauer, the one therapist in the show with zero illusions, the man who told Carmela to take the children, leave the marriage, and refuse Tony's blood money, even he believed Tony was capable of redemption. So maybe the question isn't whether Tony could have been saved. Maybe it's whether there was a specific moment Tony killed the chance himself.
Allowing what I know is evil in my house, wanted money in my hands.
For most viewers, the answer isn't one big cinematic moment. It's an accumulation, a slow drip of cruelties, each one smaller than the murders, but each one telling you something the murders couldn't.
Davey, this isn't a game for you.
It's Tony destroying Davey Scatino at the executive game, a man with a gambling sickness and a kid in Meadows' class. Tony could have turned him away at the door. He watched him bleed out instead.
Is this Eric Scatino's Jeep?
Yeah, but it's yours now.
Then he took the man's last asset, a Lexus SUV, and handed it to his daughter as a gift. It's Tony beating Assemblyman Zellman bloody, a political ally, a useful friend. Beaten, not for business, not for respect. Beaten because Zellman started dating a guma Tony himself had thrown away. A petty, needless, humiliating act. And Zellman just takes it because he knows what Tony is. It's Tony wearing shorts to a backyard cookout. It's him smacking his lips over sushi. It's him throwing a perfectly assembled gabagool sandwich in the trash. These are jokes, right? But they're not really jokes. They're the texture of a man whose contempt for everyone around him has metastasized into the small, daily things. A mob boss with no dignity in the small things has no honor in the large ones. But the moment that crystallizes it for a lot of viewers, the moment you can actually point to and say, this is a different man now,
Anger management?
is the moment Tony walks out of his own house, smiling to himself, having just sabotaged his sister Janice's anger management program. Janice, who was actually trying, who was actually changing. He picked at her scab on purpose. He goaded her until she snapped in front of her infant, and then he walked away satisfied. Not as Tony Soprano, mob boss, as Livia, his mother. That was the moment Tony stopped being trapped in the cycle and became the cycle itself. But if you want a single, surgically precise moment where the show itself itself tells you Tony is beyond saving? It's the Eugene Pontecorvo episode. Season 6, Episode 1, Members Only. Eugene is a made man, a good soldier, a loyal earner for over 20 years. His wife hates the life. His son is on heroin. And then an aunt dies and leaves them $2 million. A genuine miracle, a one-in-a-lifetime chance to take his family to Florida and start over.
She left me an inheritance, Tom.
Just over 2 mil.
He brings the ask to Tony humbly. He's not running. He's not flipping. He just wants out. And Tony says no.
There's no retiring from this.
Here's what that no means. Tony, a man who lectures everyone constantly about his own misery,
I find I have to be the sad clown.
who tells Dr. Melfi he feels like a sad clown, who complains every single session about being trapped in a life he never chose. Tony has the power, in this one moment, to do for someone else exactly what he claims he wishes someone had done for him. He can let one man go. He can spare one family, and he doesn't. Now, you can argue policy. A made man never retires. The rules are the rules. And within the logic of the mafia, that's technically true.
People have choices.
She finally offers an opinion.
But The Sopranos is not a show about mafia rules. It's a show about choices. Eugene hangs himself in his basement, and the episode moves on. No reckoning, no pause, no arc.
We've talked about Florida, okay? Gene, that's not gonna happen.
This is the moment. This is the show quietly removing the safety net. After Eugene, there is no dramatic world in which Tony can still be saved, because he had the one chance a boss gets to be better than the system he complains about, and he used it to prove he is the system. Which brings us to the moment that breaks almost everyone. Season 6, Episode 18, Kennedy and Heidi.
Maybe you should go back, Heidi.
Kennedy, I'm on my learner's permit after dark.
Tony and Christopher are driving at night. Christopher is high. He swerves. The SUV rolls into a ravine.
You got it.
And as Christopher chokes on his own blood, asking Tony to help him, Tony looks at the shattered baby seat in the back. He looks at his nephew. He looks at the highway. And he reaches over and he pinches Christopher's nose shut until he stops breathing. Then he calls 911. This is the look a lot of fans describe as the moment Tony's soul leaves his body. Because this isn't a hit ordered by a capo. This isn't a rat. This is family. This is the kid he raised. This is a man who loved him, worshipped him, wanted to be him. And Tony doesn't just kill him, he celebrates.
Happy to send a plane.
He flies to Las Vegas. He sleeps with Christopher's girlfriend out there. He laughs alone in the desert on peyote.
I get it!
And shouts, "I get it," at the sunrise. Like he's just been handed the meaning of life. He is relieved. Up until this moment, you could still build a case that Tony was a monster pretending to be a man. But after Christopher, the case flips. Tony is a man who has finally stopped pretending. And that's why so many fans, when they rewatch the show, say they can't enjoy the early seasons the same way anymore. Because once you see what's at the bottom of this man, you can't unsee it. The charm was always a cover. The therapy was always a weapon. The smiling husband grilling sausage in the backyard was always one camera angle away from the pinch of a nose in a car wreck. So when did Tony Soprano become irredeemable? Here's the answer the show has been whispering the whole time. It was never the point. The Sopranos was never asking us to diagnose Tony. It was asking us to diagnose ourselves. Every viewer draws the line somewhere different.
He trusted you enough to give you the Willie Overall thing.
Willie Overall, Febby Petrulio, Pussy, Ralphie, Zellman, Janice, Eugene, Christopher, Adriana. The exact moment you draw that line says more about you than it does about him. That's what Dr. Krakauer understood. That's what Dr. Melfi took 7 years to accept. And that's what David Chase was daring us to notice every single time we laughed at a bit or forgave a tantrum or told ourselves he's really a good guy underneath. Tony Soprano was never redeemable. He was a mirror. And the uncomfortable thing The Sopranos does, better than almost any show in television history, is force you to look into that mirror and ask what kind of person you had to be to root for him for as long as you did. So now the question goes to you. When did Tony cross the line? For you? Was it Pussy? Was it Janice? Was it the moment he pinched Christopher's nose shut in that ravine? Or were you still with him when the screen cut to black at Holston's? Drop your exact moment in the comments. And the one that surprises the most people, I'm pinning it to the top. Another top tier analysis video is on screen right now. I'll see you there. Bye for now.
Warren, could you get the fuck out of my house? Because I'm kind of busy.